everyone, Niklsun here, and welcome to Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. I'm your host, and on this show, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we'll be going over all of the day's movie news, as well as going over what it means for the production in general, such as casting decisions, trailer announcements, director announcements, things like that. So, without any further ado, let's get started with today's Hot Topics. After 9 years of being in production, we finally have our first look and trailer at Marvel's AntMan. Now, those of you who have been following the show and been following movie news and all that kind of stuff are well aware of the troubled history that this film has had to get to this point. Through almost the entire time that the film has been in development since it was, since it was announced in 2006, was Edgar Wright and Joe Cornish were the guys who were behind the camera. I mean, Joe Cornish helped Edgar Wright write the script. Edgar Wright was going to direct it. And we all know what happened there. You know, it got too far away from the Marvel Cinematic Universe that they had been developing, and so on and so forth. Everything kind of fell apart, and Edgar Wright ended up leaving shortly before production began. Peyton Reed came in to step in, and I was still hesitant about that choice because I hadn't really liked any of his previous films. I mean, they were okay. You know, like Yes Man was okay. Bring It On was okay. I mean, especially considering the age that I was when I saw it. It just, to me, seemed like they were rushing it to rush it. I mean, they found that it fit within their Phase 2. It wasn't going to work in Phase 3. So they needed to have it out by a certain point, and it seemed to me like there was a little bit of rushing. Well, now we have our first look at the trailer, and the movie actually looks like it's held together quite well. I'm a little conflicted with this trailer. I do like it. I like what we're seeing. I like the character manifestations that we're getting from both Paul Rudd as Scott Lang. We're getting Michael Douglas as Hank Pym. We even get quick looks as Evangeline Lilly as Janet Van Dyne. Hope Van Dyne. Sorry, my mistake. And we also get Corey Stoll as Darren Cross, who will later in the film become Yellow Jacket, who will be the villain. Now, this film is still 5.5 months away from coming out. There are still CGI work that needs to be done. There are still sequences that are probably still being worked on that we're just nowhere near the point of being finished to show in the trailer, which is one of the reasons why it's a more character-centric trailer. My only problem with it was I personally felt like it was very horribly edited. I found that you couldn't get a story that was being told through the trailer. There were even some completely irrelevant shots, and I've mentioned this to a couple of people on Facebook, and I can't remember at what point it is in the trailer, but it's right before that shot of Hank Pym walking into his little laboratory thing, and he flicks the lights on, and all the lights turn on. The shot right before that is literally a shot of, like, bushes. Like, it has nothing to do. To me, it was filler. It was something they wanted to have a specific length of time. They didn't care what footage they put in there. They needed to get certain points across, and that was it. I felt that the CGI at the end looked a little too busy. It looked like there was too much happening for the quality of the CGI. Again, they still got lots of time to work on it, but there's just my overall impression of the trailer. I also felt that for a comedic heist film, with the exception of the last line, which I loved, by the way. I thought that was perfect. It fit within the modern context of this character. Be like, is it too late to change the name? You know, and his delivery of it was really good. But nowhere throughout the trailer did I get the sense that this was going to be a comedic heist film. I personally didn't even get the sense that it was a Marvel movie. It really did feel disconnected, and I wonder exactly how much of Edgar Wright's original script is going to be in this film, because that was the main reason why he left. It was because his movie was too separate from the MCU. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. My whole thing is that if Marvel is content, or if their desire is to have all of their films be under one universe and one banner, then they need to reference that. Again, this is nitpicking. This, to me, is Marvel's... excuse me, I have a frog in my throat. This, to me, is Marvel's riskiest project, because Guardians of the Galaxy at least had the space opera aspect of it. It had really unique and inventive action sequences that they could use that would harken back to movies like Star Wars and just big epic space battles. This movie, on the other hand, really will rely on its comedy because it's inherently silly. It's about a man whose power is the fact that he can shrink yet retain his strength. He can fly around on ants. You know, he can control ants. You know, like, that is inherently silly. And to me, I personally believe this first trailer should not have been this dramatic. I understand the what they're trying to do. They were trying to convey the fact that Scott Lang was at a point, he was at a crossroads in his life where Hank Pym, the creator of Ant-Man, in the original Ant-Man, comes in and basically gives him an offer and says, I believe in you. I can see a lot in you. You know, you have a daughter. This is also one of my Facebook friends actually pointed out to me that this will be the first character in the MCU that is a father. And so that brings more dynamic nature to their role, to their motivations and everything that they're going to be doing. They now have a specific reason. Instead of just saving the world, we don't need that as often as we're getting. Have a very personal story, but they needed to give more comedic elements in this trailer, I personally believe, because we've been told from day one that this is going to be more comedic. They didn't necessarily come out and say it's going to be a comedy, but when you look at all of the talent that's involved, the fact that it was Edgar Wright and Joe Cornish who were writing the film, they are still credited as story writers and executive producers as well. But then you have Adam McKay, the guy who is responsible for Step Brothers and Anchorman and Talladega Nights. You know, he came in with Paul Rudd to co-write the script. Paul Rudd, a comedic actor, is the lead actor in the movie. Peyton Reed, a director who has normally only directed comedies. Like, all of these things are coming together, and now what we're seeing is potentially a mislead, maybe similar to what we're getting with Avengers Age of Ultron, because the first trailer was inherently dark, and then we got the lighter sequence with them trying to lift Thor's hammer. And from everything I've heard from that set, there are going to be more comedic bits throughout that film. But Ant-Man is more of a comedy than anything else, and it will still also be a heist film. Neither of those points were even addressed in this trailer. That being said, this is a teaser. I've already gone and said that. The thing that we need to get from this movie is, are we still faithful in Marvel? A lot of people, I've been reading a lot of comments about this trailer online, and a lot of people said it was good, but it wasn't great. One of the main things that was missing was a money shot. We never got that big money shot. You know, I would have loved for the ending of the trailer, instead of it being a couple of quick shots of that ant landing and then him getting on board it and just flying, I would have loved for that to have been one long uncut shot. Have it be him, you know, standing there, and he does his command where the ant comes in, flies in, he runs over, jumps on it, and then it goes down the side of the building and flies around and goes through a bunch of stuff. Like, that would have been a really cool money shot. But they cut it up. They interspersed it throughout the trailer, and I personally believe that was a failure. That sequence, not the trailer, just that sequence, I don't believe it had the impact that they desired it to have. And so we're going to get a new trailer in front of Avengers Age of Ultron, which is going to be at the beginning of May. Speaking of which, we're getting a new trailer for Avengers Age of Ultron on Monday, so definitely keep your eyes peeled for that. But yeah, all that being said, all the negativity about this trailer, which I still did like, it just didn't hit me the way that I wanted it to. I loved that last line in the trailer. It to me just worked. You know, that was what I wanted the trailer to be. I wanted, like, he's like, I want you to be the Ant-Man in the middle of the trailer, and he's like, huh, you know, like, oh great, you know, you've been buttering me up and raising my expectations. Oh, an Ant-Man, oh okay, yeah, that sounds cool. Is it too late to change the name? You know, I mean, like, it worked, and I did like that part, but I felt that the trailer needed a little bit more of that. But what did you guys think of the trailer? I want to know what your guys' opinions were. Put a comment in the comment section, let me know. If you think it worked for you, if you think that it could have been better, if you think that it was, some people online have been stating that it was the best trailer ever, and I mean, I'm sorry, but it's not. All film is subjective, absolutely, and it could hit you differently, no matter what, absolutely, but there have been so many better trailers. I mean, just in the past 6 months, I think the best trailer I've seen in the last 6 months was the trailer for Tomorrowland, because that trailer was just absolutely incredible, and that was a definition of a teaser. That's what I felt with this trailer. I felt that it felt like a teaser trailer, but it showed too much footage to be a teaser trailer. It didn't show enough footage in context to be a full trailer. So it's kind of in between. I don't know exactly what they were striving for, other than the fact maybe they had planned on having additional shots in the trailer and they just weren't finished. We don't know the behind the scenes. This is just speculation, but Ant-Man's going to be opening up on Batman v Superman's original release date, which is July 17th, 2015. When we do get more information about this topic, I will definitely update you guys on here. With the upcoming movie adaptation of Deadpool coming out on February 12th, 2016, filming is expected to start within the next couple of months. I believe they are targeting an April start date. And so it makes sense that casting announcements or casting decisions are starting to come out for it. And it looks like we may have two people who might be included in this film. One of which I'm really excited about. The other one I'm a little skeptical about. So it looks as though both T.J. Miller, who most recently was seen in Transformers Age of Extinction. He's also on the television show Silicon Valley. And he's been on a host of other movies. I especially loved him in, what was that movie? She's So Out of Your League, or She's So Out of My League, where he played, I think it was Stainer. I think that was his character's name. He was absolutely hilarious in that movie. He was so funny. He is being eyed for a sidekick type role, one that would kind of work really well with Ryan Reynolds in their comedic sensibilities and their timing back and forth. I think that's really exciting. I really like that casting decision if it ends up going through. Currently, it's just the talks are just going on. There is nothing concrete about it. But it is not necessarily a sidekick role, but a ally of sorts to Deadpool, somebody who Deadpool can talk to. There have been a couple of theories online as to who he might be, but at this point, I think it's too early. We don't even know exactly what the movie's going to be about. We don't know who the villain is or anything of that sort. We don't even have a log line, really, other than the fact that it will be about Deadpool. It will cross the fourth line. We still aren't sure whether or not it's going to be PG-13 or R. I think they are trying to get it to be PG-13, but I would personally love a PG-13 theatrical run and then a rated R DVD edition or Blu-ray edition. So that's my personal hope for it. But Ed Skrein, who was most recently in Game of Thrones, he was at the end of season 3, I believe. He played a character who they ended up replacing the actor for season 4. He is the bodyguard of Daenerys Targaryen on Game of Thrones, if you watch that show. Or at least he was at the end of season 3. But he is being eyed for a possible villain or foe in the movie. Now, again, we have no idea what character this is going to be, so I don't know whether or not it's a good fit. Personally speaking, I'm not that big of a fan of Ed Skrein's presence so far. Now, that being said, he is starring in the remake of The Transporter, which means if they're casting him in the Transporter remake, he must have a fair amount of charisma. Personally speaking, I think he has the face of somebody that I just want to punch repeatedly. He just has that face. I just want to hit you, and if you see his face, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But I think that Miller is a more inspired choice for this type of movie. I think he could work really well within it. Skrein, again, he is more of a question mark, but he is also further along in the talks. This is according to the Wrap, and the main thing that's going to determine whether or not I think he's going to be a good fit if he ends up being cast is whether or not this Transporter remake, reboot, reimagining, whatever is good. If it ends up being good and we actually like him in that role, then I think we'll buy into him more in other projects. Just right now, he hasn't sold me on anything. I can't get behind him yet in terms of his acting ability. So that being said, he could play a really cool badass. There's always that chance. Look at Adrian Brody. I think that's one of the best examples. You look at the guy from The Pianist, and even kind of the wimp from The Thin Red Line, and all the other movies that he's been in. And then you watch Predators, and he is really good in Predators. He completely changed, did a complete 180 in that movie. So there is always a possibility. Now, I know I'm leaving out one key important factor here. Adrian Brody is and has been an Academy Award winning actor for years. I think he won in 2002 or 2003 for The Pianist, and then he went and did Predators 8 years later. So I understand that there was a great difference between the two, that he was in the industry for over a decade before he got into that role. But that being said, I think that he could surprise us in the same vein that Adrian Brody really surprised a lot of people with that role. So, as it stands right now, Deadpool is set for a February 12th, 2016 release date. Like I said, I'm more in line with Miller in the movie. I think he is a better fit for it, but only time will tell. We're going to get more information about this, and when we do, I will definitely update you guys on here. 20th Century Fox has gone ahead and moved around a couple of their upcoming release dates over the next couple of years. There are a couple of ones that are really noteworthy, and I'll get to those in a minute, but One of the biggest ones was we have an official confirmation that Channing Tatum will play Gambit in the upcoming Gambit spin-off film, which will be opening up on October 7th, 2016. And Channing Tatum even tweeted out, he says, how do you say October 7th, 2016 in Cajun? You know, so I mean, it's been officially confirmed. It's no longer a rumor. It's no longer speculation. He is, in fact, playing the role of Gambit. Before everybody starts jumping up and down, think about this. Have you seen Foxcatcher? Probably not. Have you seen 21 Jump Street and 22 Jump Street? Probably. Have you seen Step Up? No, but you saw the trailers and you hated him. And that's what you're basing your opinion on. The majority of you out there. A lot of people hate on Channing Tatum because they think he's not a very good actor. And if you haven't seen Foxcatcher yet, your opinion is invalid because it has no weight behind it. It's like saying that James Cameron is a terrible filmmaker because all you saw was Piranha 2. You didn't see Terminator, The Abyss, Aliens, Terminator 2, True Lies, Titanic, Avatar. I mean, the dude is one of the best filmmakers out there, but if you only saw Piranha 2, you would think he's a terrible filmmaker. Same goes with Channing Tatum. If all you saw was Step Up and maybe G.I. Joe, which I thought G.I. Joe was actually quite entertaining. I mean, nothing special, nothing to write home about, but I thought it was entertaining. It did its job. But when you look at him in a movie like Foxcatcher, where there is serious awards contention for him, I don't think he's going to get nominated. And out of the three in the movie, I don't think he should. Only because I think Steve Carell and Mark Ruffalo were better in the movie. Only because I think their characters had a little bit more to do. They had a little bit more weight to them. I felt that the way that the character of Mark Schultz was written was, it took away a little bit from what Channing Tatum was able to do, but he still had some really powerful sequences. Like in the trailer for Foxcatcher, there's a scene where he's looking in the mirror and he just starts slapping and punching himself, and then he takes the mirror and he starts smashing his head into it. He wasn't supposed to smash the mirror, but he got so into that role, he got so into that sequence that he did that, and that was the shot that they used. And I think he actually opened up a gash on his head. He had a piece of glass sticking out of his head in that sequence. So, I mean, it was just really, really powerful. And I do hope that people give him a chance because I really think that he can shine in this role. But, again, it's all going to determine on whether or not the movie's any actually good. And I think it will be, because this also means that now we have 3 X-Men related films in the same year, and we haven't had that before. So I mean, it's really exciting. But getting back to 20th Century Fox, we have a couple of other film release dates that have been changed. The first one was Assassin's Creed. Now, Assassin's Creed was originally, I believe, pulled from its release date, and we didn't know exactly where it was going to go. They've now set it up for December 21st, 2016. The problem I have with this date, I am almost certain that this is a placeholder date, because the week prior to that, not only do we have a Star Wars spin-off movie, but we have the first Avatar sequel coming out by 20th Century Fox. I personally can't see them releasing Assassin's Creed in such a clustered time frame. I can't see them doing it. I don't see that being a good financial situation. I think that that is a placeholder date. I think they've put that movie there because what they're actually going to do, what I think they're actually going to do is Assassin's Creed is probably going to come out sometime between March and May of 2017. I think they're actually going to tie in for an April release date. But they're setting that as a placeholder. But to me, it doesn't make any sense for them to release it because they also have another film releasing on Christmas Day, which the movie is escaping. I think it's the Last Man on Earth or something along those lines. But the one that I really wanted to talk about here is Fantastic Four 2. And there's a couple of reasons. One, we have not seen one single thing from Fantastic Four, which is going to be opening up on August 7th of 2015. So in 7 months. They have now bumped up the release date. So the release date of the sequel was originally going to be sometime at the end of July of 2017. They've now bumped it up to the beginning of June. So they wanted to come out about 6 to 7 weeks earlier. They usually don't do that unless they have confidence in the project. Now, I have reached out to a couple people and I have heard from very reliable sources. Now, I don't know if this is 100% confirmed, but I've heard from very reliable sources. We will be getting our first look at Fantastic Four during the Super Bowl. So they will be airing a 30-second TV spot during the Super Bowl, And then that will be followed up by, I believe, a full trailer release online. Very similar to what they did a couple of years ago with Furious 6. When they released it, it was a 1-minute Super Bowl spot that they released on TV. And then if you went online, you could watch the full 2.5 to 3 minute trailer online. They're going to be doing the same thing with Fantastic Four. I do believe, though, that it is a 30-second spot. Outside of that, I don't think that we're getting an AntMan TV spot. I don't think we're getting an Avengers TV spot. Although, I mean, it would be, to me, it'd be kind of silly for Marvel to skip out on showing the Avengers because they did it with the first one. But I don't know if they need to. I mean, put that in a frame of reference, okay? When films will showcase what they have coming during the Super Bowl, it's the most watched televised, annual televised sporting event in the world. The only one that beats it is the World Cup. And the World Cup is only every 4 years. But studios will normally put either their first look at the movie, like what Transformers normally does. The last couple of Transformers movies, their first trailer has been before the Super Bowl. Or during the Super Bowl, I should say. But then you look at the Avengers. The Avengers had a trailer before the Super Bowl, but they hadn't had a trailer in a while. They hadn't had a trailer since October. We're now getting a trailer next week, and we didn't have that with the Avengers the first time. They released a new trailer for it, I believe it was a couple of weeks after the Super Bowl. So they don't need people to know this movie is coming out. Jurassic World, they need to start drumming up an anticipation for this movie. You know, I mean, other summer Fantastic Four, 100% they need to start drumming up anticipation for this movie. I do think that Marvel having a new trailer for Ant-Man will do them a good service. I think that that's a smart decision for them to do. Just a 30-second spot, maybe showing off some action beats, maybe show off the first look at Yellow Jacket, which we still haven't seen in full high-definition form yet. We saw the artist rendition of what it'll look like, but getting back to Fantastic Four, I personally, okay, this is about the first one, the one that hasn't come out yet. They're already announcing the sequel, which shows they have confidence in the story and in the movie that they're going with. They haven't conveyed that to us yet, but they're starting to. With moving up the sequel date a couple of weeks, they could still be trying to keep Josh Trank as the director for the sequel. Because, let's not forget, Josh Trank has already been offered a Star Wars spinoff. Now, there have been reports coming out over the past couple of weeks. Actually, the first reports were at the end of November, but they just kind of lay dormant. But that Josh Trank was abysmal on the set of Fantastic Four, that he was, he was getting high every day on set. He wouldn't even come in some days. The rental house that they had for him, he completely trashed. He was yelling at people, being disrespectful to people on set and all that kind of stuff. And other people in that comment board kind of went in and said, no, I was on set. I know people are on set and yada, yada, yada. And this is all legitimate. This all sounds very accurate. This is what I heard. I don't believe that for a second. And the reason that I don't believe that is because if that were in fact true, the movie started shooting at the end of March. I think it was either the last week of March or the first week of April. 2 months later, so almost 3/4 of the way through filming, because they didn't finish filming until sometime in the beginning. I think it was the end of July or beginning of August that they finished filming. In July that they finished filming. They offered him the Star Wars spinoff, and it was announced in June that he was getting a Star Wars spinoff, which means that announcement had 2 months of filming on Fantastic Four for them to get word saying, this is hectic, this is not going the way that we wanted, he's not able to grasp the characters, he's not able to retain a certain amount of respect and security on set. Like the way that a director's supposed to run, they would have heard about that, and they would have said, we're not offering you Star Wars. So I don't get why these allegations are coming out now, other than the fact that we haven't seen anything. People are just trying to drum up drama about this movie, saying that this movie's going to bomb because he had no idea what he was doing on set, and he was yelling at people and he was high all the time, so this movie's just going to be a mess. I don't believe that for a second. And I do believe that now Fox knows exactly how they want to market it, because that's always been the sticking point up until this point. I think it was Simon Kinberg was one of the first guys to come out and say that they are still working on how to unveil this to people. And they said that like 8 months ago, about how they want to show this to people, how they want people's first impact of this movie to be learned, because it is a complete departure from what we're used to. They're taking more from the Ultimates than they are from the Space Age, the classical ones, if you will, from the 60s and 70s. That's what the original Fantastic Four movies were based off of. They were based off of the family comedy, the the older Fantastic Four, where Reed Richards and Sue Storm were in the midst of getting married and all that kind of stuff. Everything that I've heard so far about this new upcoming movie, and I've read a basic plot outline for the movie, like that actually has most of the beats going all the way till the end of the film. It sounds really cool. The main thing is going to be the visualization of the movie and how they're able to capture that, how they're able to convey what I've read, because what I've read sounds really cool. It is a departure. It has similar points in terms of how far through the script certain things happen to the 2005 film, but this does not have as much. From what I read, it doesn't have as much comedy. The character motivations are different. Obviously, Doom is a different character. I'm really excited to see this movie. Everything that I've been hearing about it so far, I completely dismissed these Josh Trank allegations. But on top of that, I don't really know what else to say right now except that I'm excited. I'm still hesitant with it. And if this report ends up becoming false, then I've lost all faith in this film. If this report saying that we will get a Super Bowl ad for the movie is false, I've lost all hope. Because that is the last thing. Now that I know that they are starting their marketing and we are going to start to get something, I think that means that we're going to get a poster and probably an official cast image before we get the Super Bowl ad. Either that or it'll happen right after it. But in the week or two before the Super Bowl, I think we're going to start to see some Fantastic Four stuff starting to drum up. Because let's not forget, with the exception of the Comic-Con trailer that they had showed at Comic-Con the year prior, the first look that we got at Guardians of the Galaxy was in February. It was, I believe, the third episode of this show, which was on February 19th. And there wasn't really any... I mean, I was hoping that we had had a trailer before then. But they had put little nuggets out there. We had the title card. You know, we knew exactly what the title was. We knew how their design was, and it was going to reflect in the movie. We had concept art of the characters. You know, right when the movie was announced, like 2 years before it came out, we had concept art. Then the trailer was shown at Comic-Con when the movie was only 3 weeks into filming or 2 weeks into filming. But yet with this movie, we don't have anything yet. And that's what's always been holding me back. But if we know now that we're getting our marketing campaign going for this movie, and it's going to start with the Super Bowl, I think that we're in for a really cool treat. I think we're going to get something really unique, and I'm really excited about it. But on top of Fantastic Four, the Planet of the Apes 3, or the untitled Planet of the Apes sequel, has been pushed back to July 14th, 2017. So they pushed it back a year. And I am 100% okay with that. And the reason I'm okay with that is because, director's name. Director of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. But when he came on board, he had so many ambitious things that he wanted to do with Dawn that I'm pretty sure that he has even more ambitious things to do with the third Planet of the Apes movie, which means he's going to need a little bit more time, not only to work out the script, more importantly, to work out the technology in order to actually do it. So I am completely okay with them delaying the film until 2017, I should say. It also gives Andy Serkis a little bit more time to work on his Jungle Book movie, because they had to push back the Jungle Book to 2017 as well, which he is directing. On top of that, he has probably got a role in Black Panther. He has a role in Avengers Age of Ultron coming out. He is in Star Wars Episode 7. He might even be in Star Wars Episode 8. I mean, the dude is becoming so busy, it's going to be really hard to keep him contained for filming at least a couple of scenes, unless they're all going to be shooting in the same locations, and then he can just go from one to one to one to one to one. But, yeah, I mean, out of all this, I'm more excited about Fantastic Four now than I think that I ever was. Only because now I know that they have a plan. If this is indeed true, like I said, I am reserving the right to completely unleash my hatred on this film. If this report ends up being false, if we don't get a trailer by the beginning of February, that shows trouble for a big $150 million budgeted film to not show anything 6 months out. And I don't even mean footage. I mean an image, a poster, a title card, something. Give us something, Fox. That's all we want. We just want the title card and then maybe a cast photo. That's it. That's all we need. It'll calm us down. But nothing. So if Super Bowl ends up being true and we do get our first teaser, followed by a trailer online immediately, good. We're good. You guys are fine. You are in good hands. I cannot wait to see the movie because they've pushed up the sequel, which means they like what they see. But that's all contingent on them showing a trailer during the Super Bowl. That's all I'm going to say. So, current Fantastic Four, that hasn't even shown anything yet, is going to be opening up on August 7th, 2015. The sequel has now been pushed up to June 2nd, 2017. So, take from that what you will. But if we do get more information on any of these projects from 20th Century Fox, I will definitely update you guys on here. Well, that'll about do it for us here on Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. Thank you so much for watching. You guys have been a great audience. Go ahead and click the subscribe button there in the bottom corner. You get updates whenever we post a new video. You can also follow me on Twitter at Niklsun, Niklsun, for all of your movie updates. And also give us a like on our Facebook page at facebook.com/movie news with Niklsun. If you guys ever have a topic or question or comment that you'd like to have talked about on this show, go ahead and put a comment in the comment section, or you can email us at movienewswithniklsun, Niklsun, at gmail.com. And on every Friday episode, we'll try to get to as many as we can. But until next time, you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.